You suck.
All right, mother lickers. Ooh, welcome to That's Good Sports. I'm Brandon. Thank God I never had a coach who wanted to execute me. Perna.
I'm in favor of execution. Maybe our entire team needs to be executed after tonight.
There's a little bit of irony when you're trying to make a joke about your team's poor execution and then bungle it worse than they did. Today on this show, we've got headlines from around the NFL, including a new deal for Mark Andrews, no deal for TJ Watt, a surprise starter in Houston, why the Cowboys are already screwed, 2 days ahead of their season opener in Tampa Bay. 1 day, when did I write this episode? And the sad, sad truth about why the NFL was so hard on the Denver Broncos last season and forced them to play practice squad receiver Kendall Hinton at quarterback against the Saints. We got inside info. That's good sports. Hey, if you don't want to see your team lose week 1, subscribe to this YouTube channel. Click the notification button if you want to know when I make videos, and that's it. Today's episode is sponsored by my friends at manscaped.com/goodsports. Manscaped offers you the best tools and liquid formulations for the big 3 odor zones: body, balls, and butt. These concoctions and advancements in below-the-belt grooming are all included in the Perfect Package 4.0 from Manscaped. In addition to the Crop Preserver Ball Deodorant and Crop Reviver Ball Toner Spray, you get the king of body hair trimmers, the Lawnmower 4.0. The Lawnmower 4.0 is an electric, waterproof trimmer with advanced skin-safe technology which reduces nicks and cuts in the nether region, aka your wiener hairs. Plus, it's got a travel lock feature, so your trimmer will never go off in your luggage. So right now, you can click my link below or go to manscaped.com/goodsports to get 20% off, plus free shipping, plus 2 free gifts: the Shed Travel Bag and the best anti-chafing boxer briefs I've ever pulled over my buttocks. Manscaped, the perfect tools for your family jewels. Okay, yesterday's episode was about big mistakes every team has made, so we're a little behind on the NFL news. So we've got a lot to cover, starting with Tyrod Taylor, who has been named the starter in Houston? I'm not sure why this isn't a bigger story. I doubt anyone thought Tyrod Taylor would beat out Deshaun Watson in a fair, open, and unbiased QB competition with no extenuating circumstances. But that's exactly what happened. If Tyrod is better than Deshaun Watson, how is he not better than Justin Herbert? Tyrod Taylor might just be the next Drew Brees, which means Herbert is really the next Phillip Rivers. Screw your completion percentage, Herbert. Just make sure that sperm count is up. Mark Akers tweeted that nobody seems to like the Raiders on social media. This is according to Linkfluence AI, reviewing negative sports sentiment over the last year. The Raiders are in first place by a long shot. The Broncos are at 10, the Nuggets at 16. Hell, even the Bills are on this list. After analyzing this list with my own AI machine, I have determined this is more reflective of pissed off fan bases, talking shit about their own team. Because the fact that the Lakers, the Yankees, and the Cowboys aren't top 10 confirms that. Now we can all exhale. The Nickelodeon wildcard game is returning for the 2021 playoffs. The question, as always, is who will follow in Mitch Trubisky's giant footsteps and take home the MVP? This year, it might actually be a winning player. Raiders owner Mark Davis is building a new $14 million mansion in the outskirts of Las Vegas. It's certainly not traditional, but it should make a good home until he decides to sell it to the Galactic Empire in about 20 years. And trust me, Moff Gideon does not pay real estate inflation prices. Speaking of Mark Davis, his team, the Raiders, signed linebacker KJ Wright to a 1-year deal last week. Oh, God, and I really like this signing for the Raiders. Oh, it was a good pickup. One more piece of Raiders news. The team waived 2020 third-round pick Tanner Muse before he ever took a snap for the team on his birthday. This makes Muse the second third-round pick from the 2020 draft, no longer on the Raiders roster. Yes, that draft class is trending towards a massive bust. Okay, I just needed to end this Raiders segment on a good note, because I'm about to give Broncos fans a bad note. Men and women of YouTube, I present to you the son of former Broncos team owner Pat Bowlen, Johnny Bowlen, on Instagram.
I personally, as the person who should be the GM of the Broncos, hates Peyton. George Peyton. Georgiano. Fucking Georgie. You suck my cock, okay? You suck. George Peyton sucks fucking flamingo balls through a fucking hose.
And now you know why the Broncos ownership situation is a mess. They're out there hiring GMs who have sexual flamingo fetishes. And we've got some breaking news. Broncos edge rusher Bradley Chubb was detained for having expired license plates, minor traffic violations, failing to appear in court for such violations, minor stuff, but he was detained. I think someone in the Broncos organization should have told Bradley Chubb this is the one area we don't want you mimicking Von Miller, who was arrested for nearly the exact same thing back in 2013. Now, Tim Tebow and Michael Irvin are joining ESPN First Take. If you needed another reason to not watch First Take, but we actually got our first dose of Michael Irvin yesterday, and he makes Stephen A. look calm and rational in comparison.
199th pick goes out and wins 7. We didn't expect that. So you can't just tell me about what he accomplished. Tell me about the distance he had to travel to accomplish what he accomplished. And nobody traveled more distance than this man right here, Tom Brady.
Hold on. Well, there's a mistake in your argument.
There's no way this experiment ends peacefully. By the end of this, Michael Irvin will steal Stephen A. Smith's middle initial and become Michael A. Irvin, officially the loudest, most bombastic television personality on earth. That said, I kind of wish Michael Irvin was my primary care physician. Mr. Purna, you have hemorrhoids. We're going to want to treat that with ointment. Also, your triglyceride levels are a bit high, so let's lay off the sugar, man, and fatty foods and retest in a month. Here's a question. Why would the Seahawks get rid of a corner? They traded cornerback Ahkello Witherspoon to the Steelers for a 5th-round pick. I don't know why they decided to thin out one of their thinnest position groups. That's beyond me. Unless they're trying to give up a ton of points, force Russell Wilson to throw a bunch of touchdowns, maxing out his trade value, and then getting 5 first-round picks for him this offseason. Maybe that's their plan. The Baltimore Ravens locked up Lamar Jackson's #1 target, giving their tight end Mark Andrews a new deal worth $56 million over 4 years, making him the 3rd highest paid tight end after George Kittle and Travis Kelce. Andrews has caught 17 touchdowns over the last 2 years, and trust me, these days touchdowns are the only thing you want to catch from Lamar Jackson. The Steelers might actually be without their best defensive player, and my projection for Defensive Player of the Year next Sunday against the Bills, TJ Watt. After a 15-sack season in 2020, TJ Watt and the Steelers can't agree on a contract extension, which may cause Watt to sit out the season opener. I don't know how much TJ Watt wants, but I'm going to guess it's at least more than this. Dallas Cowboys guard Zach Martin is out for the season opener after testing positive for COVID. Dak Prescott is playing in his first game back, and he's without his all-pro guard against one of the most dominant pass rushes from 2020. This is clearly swift punishment for making us all sit through the most boring hard knocks of all time. All-Pro Zach Martin is the first player to miss a game because of COVID this season, because it is the first game of the season. As if we all needed another reason to believe the Bucs are going to destroy the Cowboys in prime time. Now, I thought we could use this as an opportunity to clarify the NFL COVID protocols. That way, you can prepare yourself in terms of how it may affect your team this season based on their vaccination rate. The Bucs and Falcons are at 100%. By the way, the lowest belongs to the Minnesota Vikings, which shouldn't come as much of a surprise as they continue to nosedive into irrelevance. Sorry, Vikings fans. This is from My Sports Update. Unvaccinated players who test positive are out for 10 days. Vaccinated players can return if symptom-free, plus 2 negative tests 24 hours apart. Unvaccinated players who are close contacts are out 5 days. Vaccinated players don't miss time, but will be subject to daily testing. So again, the main thing with the vaccinations for NFL teams is it provides a competitive advantage. And those are strict rules the NFL has implemented. And as you can see, if you are not vaccinated, the amount of time you could miss is significant. I'm just waiting to see which team this affects the most. Sort of like what happened to the Broncos last season, when they tried to skirt the rules. If you'll recall, the Denver Broncos last year were forced to start a practice squad wide receiver at quarterback with about a day's notice, after all the Broncos quarterbacks were deemed close contact risks. This was the last week in November, and the Broncos got the shit kicked out of them by the Saints, as wide receiver turned quarterback Kendall Hinton did his best under center with no time to prepare for the hardest role in sports. Kendall Hinton is now in the Hall of Fame, and my video about this game last season was one of my best. But at the time, Broncos fans were irate, pissed off at Roger Goodell and the league. We had to watch the Broncos play a very good Saints team without a quarterback because Drew Lock, Brett Rippon, Jeff Driscoll, and Blake Bortles were deemed close contact risks after Driscoll tested positive for COVID, even though the rest of the QBs tested negative. We Broncos fans were pissed because we had seen the NFL reschedule a handful of games to accommodate similar situations.
You suck.
Given the lack of information at the time, we were right to be pissed. We're still pissed. Now we're just pissed at our own quarterbacks. I refuse to believe Brett Rippon was behind this. Just look at him. He was definitely the one in the group going, guys, I don't think we should do this. This seems like a bad idea. And everyone else in unison was like, shut up, Brett. Watch some film with us. We all thought it was a slight because Denver was losing and none of our QBs were that good or were big names like Mahomes, who had close contact with COVID-positive Stephon Gilmore without issue. Had the game been moved to Tuesday, one of the Broncos quarterbacks, Locke, Rippon, or hell, even Blake Bortles could have started as long as they kept testing negative, which they all did. The punishment at the time didn't make sense until now because we found out. Apparently, the 4 QBs took off their contact tracers, left them in the corners of the room, and then met in the middle to watch game film. They tried to game the system and got fucked because the NFL saw this happen after reviewing security cam footage from the team's facility. That's embarrassing. Not as embarrassing though as being Drew Lock and risking a start to study film with Jeff Driscoll and Blake Bortles. Do you think Blake Bortles gets anything from watching film? Do you think he's ever known what a defense was going to do before they did it? Maybe for 1 year. And shit, that almost got him to the Super Bowl. So I'll say this, give me Teddy 2 gloves, but more importantly, give me Teddy 2 masks, because he will never do this shit.
You suck.
Now you know why the Broncos got punished so harshly. Thanks for watching That's Good Sports. Please subscribe here on YouTube. I'm on Twitter, Instagram, @BrandonPerna if you care to follow me in those social media destinations.